Good to have you back here on Reporter's Diary, and straight then to some specific stock action on Dalal Street. DHFL's stock nosedived 13% and bounced back from the day's low. This after rating agencies downgraded the company for selling its subsidiary Aadhar Housing in a deal worth 27,000 crore rupees. Now, the stock picked up after the company's management said in a conference call that a strategic partner should be appointed on the board within 3 months. Now, Chairman and Managing Director Kapil Wadhwan also discussed and dismissed the allegations of loans being disbursed to non-existent slum projects.
That the loans have been sanctioned and disbursed to non-existent slum rehabilitation projects. This statement is completely false. The complaint is riddled with false allegation and false statements. It alleges setting up and using of shell companies. It is, however, relevant to note that not a single one of these companies was designated or described as a shell company by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India, when it issued its list of shell companies in the year 2017. The complaint also suggests concocted loans given to various entities which are perpetually outstanding. In fact, many of those loans of an aggregate value of Rs 2,250 crores have already been repaid.
Meanwhile, cnbc TV 18 also learns that the Corporate Affairs Ministry is monitoring DHFL's stock market movements and is keeping an eye on the company's exposure in development projects as well. Now, MCA's Mumbai Regional Director has been asked to submit a detailed report on DHFL within the week. Now, the report will be shared with the Finance Ministry as well as the Prime Minister's office. Now, another stock that was in focus in today's trade was Reliance Communications, and the stock ended the day down around 35%. This, remember, on the company's decision to opt for insolvency proceedings after failing to sell assets to repay lenders. Now, other stocks from the Anil Ambani Group also witnessed selling pressure, and catching up with Reliance Communications Executive Director Puneet Garg, this is what he had to say about the company's decision.
Puneet, simply put, what really gives you the confidence in the NCLT process to do what you couldn't complete doing outside the process for so long?
It's a so-called COC or those who, it are the same lenders. They have run the process which was transparent and independent by appointing a bid evaluation committee as well, which was headed by Deputy Governor of RBI and members of TRAI, etc. They have gone through the process, finalized the whole bidding and the bids, and that's how the resolution plan was constructed. In the current process also, it is the same COC, so I do not see that we have to reinvent the wheel for bidding process. So it's going to be the same bids, and the current buyers have already extended the long stop date.
Sorry for interrupting you, but I want to get to the point on the lack of consensus among lenders that you raised. Even in a press release, you've said that that was the key reason why the resolution couldn't be completed in 18 months' time. So can you help us understand what were these point of differences that came up amongst the lenders, and how do you think that they'll be resolved under NCLT?
Yeah, so I think some of the smaller lenders, and I would say that, those who have like 80 or 100 crore of debt in the company, they would believe that they need to be paid 100%. They do not want as part of that some, equity or CRPS for interest, etc. And as you know, the way, the PSU banks are, they would like a equitable solution to everyone. They can't give someone else a larger share and, sacrifice that amount. And I think that is the unreasonableness which had in the meetings where we were unable to reach the 100% consensus. We had in most of the assets our consensus of 95, 97 or 99%.
The majority lenders are on board with the plan. Did they have concerns with respect to the resolution plan that you had pointed out, specifically SBI?
See, one of the proof here you would see that if I am saying that, we would be through 66% and we would, we have 90% plus in all the cases. Obviously, all the majority lenders are with us.
Are the lenders, both domestic and foreign, Puneet, on board with the company going to NCLT, or is there any difference there as well?
We have had no differences between Indian lender and foreign lenders when it has come to agree on resolution plan or giving the consents.
It's already in the public domain that Jio is a buyer, but there was a lot of talk on possibility of after DOT calling it off, after NCLT now being the process and the way to go. I want to specifically ask you, does Jio continue to remain an interested party? Do you have the support of Jio here?
Well, I would not second guess that, given that if a buyer has extended the long stop date from December 2018 to June 2019.
So spectrum and tower assets are largely the area that are now headed to NCLT, and GCX and data center remain, correct? Broadly.
That's right.
Development alone cannot win votes. That's the word coming in from renowned economist and author Ruchir Sharma, who's speaking about his upcoming book titled Democracy on the Road. And Sharma said that the connection between economics and politics in India is tenuous at best. Now, CNBC TV 18 Shireen Ban hit the road with Ruchir Sharma across rural Uttar Pradesh to discuss the upcoming elections and for a walk down memory lane as well. Ruchir Sharma has been covering elections for the last 25 years, and he spoke about the 6 mantras for success in elections. Let's listen in.
Let's talk about the issues that will dominate the narrative this time around. And I want to focus a little bit on what the experience over the last 25 years has told you on the connection between development and how people vote. Because, for instance, in Bihar, and you do believe that Bihar is one of the most transformed states in India, one would imagine that Nitish Kumar's victory was on account of the development card, or Prime Minister Modi's victory in 2014 was because Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. How important is that, and is this correlation as deep as we think it is?
No, I think that the electoral history of India suggests this connection between economics and politics is very tenuous at best. So in fact, this was very well articulated to me by a local politician who we met in Mangalore during our Karnataka election trip of May of last year. And what this politician, UT Khadir was his name, what he told us was, I think, quite insightful. He basically said that an Indian election is about a contest of 6 metrics. Or, it's like you're taking 6 exams, and you have to basically pass each exam with a minimum score of at least 35%.
Okay, what 6 exams do you have to pass?
He didn't sort of spell that out, but sort of, if I were to cull the list after having traveled, clearly caste and religion is the starting point. And unless you get that right, it's very difficult to win an election. Then things like family connections matter, welfareism matters, how much money you spent does tend to matter, even though I think it is a bit exaggerated how much money drives politics. Then I think that issues like corruption matter, and then possibly you have development. So you have 6 factors. And what that basically tells you is that if you end up...
caste is right on top.
Yes, I think caste is right on top, but I think that development...
And development's at the bottom.
No, not necessarily, but it's at best one of these 6 factors. So if you believe that you just get development right and you can win an election in India, that's just not wrong. And there's one statistic which illustrates that, and we've spoken about this in the past, which is that there have been 27 instances since 1980 when a state has grown at a rate of more than 8% during the full term of a chief minister. Of these 27 instances, about half the time, that chief minister has lost the election. And that for me is such a telling statistic, that you can grow at 8% or more and yet not come back to power. In most countries, an 8% type economic growth would be considered an economic miracle, which would sweep the incumbent back to power. In the US, this pocketbook theory is, of elections is very popular, which is that how your pocketbook's doing on metrics like, what is prices and unemployment really determine electoral outcomes. There's a very good sort of statistical fit for that. We just don't have that in this country. So I believe that if you end up getting a very strong growth rate, that's just one of the factors.
Well, you can catch the entire conversation with Ruchir Sharma in a special episode tomorrow at 7 p.m. right here on CNBC TV 18. We hear that India's richest civic body in Mumbai has presented its budget for the next financial year, and the total outlay has crossed the 30,000 crore rupee mark. Kevin Lee is joining us with the latest details of that report. Kevin, thanks for joining in, and take us through the highlights, please.
Well, the BMC's problem really has not been getting funds, it's been spending it. In fact, between 2006 and 2016, only 12% of the total allocation made in the budget was actually spent, and most of that was revenue expenditure. So we'll have to see the implementation rather than these announcements. However, like you said, the budgetary allocation for the BMC stands a shade under 30,700 crores for FY20 versus 27,000 crore last year. About 11,500 crore rupees has been allocated towards capital expenditure, out of which education gets 2,800 crore rupees almost. Public health gets 4,150 crore rupees. The coastal road project, which will connect South Mumbai to the Worli Sea Link, gets about 1,600 crore rupees. Remember, work on that started in December last year. And roads and traffic, a much needed area of expenditure, as you will know if you live in Mumbai, has gotten 1,520 crore rupees. Good news also, there's no proposed increase in taxes for FY20. However, like I mentioned, the main problem is that a lot of projects in previous budgets which were allocated money have not really taken off, including the waste-to-energy plant at Deonar as well as the underground Goregaon-Mulund link road. Both of these projects have been allotted 100 crore rupees, so we'll have to see if this time around at least work takes off on that. Back to you.
Well, that's Kevin there bringing us the fine print of the BMC budget outlay for FY20. And on that note, it's a wrap on this edition of Reporter's Diary. But thanks and stay tuned to CNBC TV 18 because coming up next is Election Budget, the FM interview. Keep it with CNBC TV 18.